A family with a little girl who's gifted a haunted house. A creepy clown doll? They moved the headstones but not the bodies? All this can only mean one thing. We're comparing Poltergeist on this episode of Retro versus Remake.
I'm Reggie Parker.
And I'm Dan Bielek. Welcome to another episode of Retro versus Remake. This is the series where we compare movies and their remakes. Join us as we answer the question, should this remake exist? Today's films are Poltergeist. Let's get right into it. The original Poltergeist was made in 1982, starring Jo Beth Williams, Craig T. Nelson, Beatrice Straight, Heather O'Rourke, Dominique Dunn, Oliver Robbins, and Zelda Rubinstein. Directed by Tobe Hooper. Screenplay by Steven Spielberg, Michael Gryce, and Mark Victor. Music by Jerry Goldsmith. Poltergeist 2015, starring Sam Rockwell, Rosemary DeWitt, Jared Harris, Jane Addams, Saxon Charbino, Kyle Catlett, and Kennedy Clements. Directed by Gil Keenan. Screenplay by David Lindsay Bear. Music by Mark Streitenfeld. Alright, Reggie, what is your first experience with either film?
As a recurring theme with this show, horror is not my genre. Although, this is a horror film, but I've seen the references like the TV and like popular culture, like I want to say like Tiny Toons and like The Simpsons and stuff like that. So
Steven Spielberg, so
yep. And I also kind of understood the sort of burial ground type of reference and stuff.
Right.
But I've never seen either one of these films. This is my first time watching them for this show.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I had seen the original before, probably years ago. I've seen it a few times for sure. The original Poltergeist I saw, though, wasn't the first one. The first one I ever saw was Poltergeist 3 when I was a kid. And they always had that on like Channel 11 back in the day. And that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. And I don't think I actually saw the first Poltergeist until I was like old enough to not really be scared by it. Right. But I was old enough to kind of appreciate that kind of a take. Like, oh, okay, now I understand all these references from popular culture. But I'd never seen the remake until for this podcast, and I didn't actually know that a remake existed. Right. And with like such a cast too, it's like Sam Rockwell's in this. So, like, how did Jared Harris? Like,
it's a good cast.
Yeah. So
that one completely slipped me because I was looking at some of the things that came out in the box office around that time, and there were some and I don't remember them, but there were some decent flicks. So, looking at when this came out in 2015, it was the same time as Tomorrowland, Pitch Perfect 2, and Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh man!
So it was a rough time to drop even with the name, it was a rough time to drop a horror film because I would say Tomorrowland and Mad Max were like kind of like big deal at the time, especially Mad Max.
Yeah, especially Mad Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing. I don't think anything for this movie, so I was just like, there's a Poltergeist remake? So surprised. Anyways, we are going to compare these films, but they are very similar. But first, a brief synopsis. All the names are different, of course. They couldn't spare us any of that, so here we go. A family has moved into a new home. The youngest daughter seems to have some strange connection with the house and can communicate with something through the TV. Strange phenomena start to occur. At first, they're playful, but soon take a sinister turn. One night, an old tree comes to life and takes the son. While everyone tries to save him, the youngest daughter is taken. While they look for her, they realize the house took her, but are able to communicate with her through the TV. Not sure what to do, the family seeks help from professionals in the paranormal. A small team goes to the house to examine the phenomena. They observe and are even terrorized by the house themselves. They do eventually discover a portal of sorts that begins in the children's closet and ends in their ceiling. Unsure of how to deal with the poltergeist, they bring in a spiritual medium. This specialist warns the family of the danger and comes up with a plan to get back the youngest daughter. With some rope and a brave volunteer from the family, they are able to bring the daughter back. The house is now clean. Or is it? The family then decides to leave, but the house refuses. In a last-ditch effort, the house tries to suck the youngest daughter back into the closet. It's revealed that the house is on an old graveyard. The headstones removed, but not the bodies!
moved the cemetery, but you left the bodies, didn't you? You son of a bitch, you left the bodies and you only moved the headstones! You only moved the headstones!
It's revealed that the house. I've been saying son of a bitch all weekend. Maybe that's why. The family is able to escape the house safely right before the house destroys itself. The family gets away, and each movie ends on a comedic beat. The end. All right, very similar. Yeah, we had a little bit of fun with that. Yep, move the headstones, but not the bodies. That's such a quotable line. It's so over the top. Craig T. Nelson's delivery of it. Yeah, because I've been working on my deck. I'm removing all these old boards because it's like all rotten. So every time I couldn't get to move, like, come on, you son of a bitch! Move, you son of a bitch! So I guess I was channeling Craig T. Nelson.
Oh, man. Yeah. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll get into him.
Yeah.
Actually, since these movies are very similar, I think we should get into characters.
Nice.
And I was going to start with the dad of each family,
Right.
so we can segue right to Craig T. Nelson. So, our dads of each family, Craig T. Nelson as Stephen Freeling, and Sam Rockwell as Eric Bowen.
We can't call the cops. What are you gonna tell them?
All right, where should we start here? I was thinking maybe the jobs, because
the jobs, yes.
yeah, because it plays into the plot of the original, not so much the remake. So Craig T. Nelson, he works with the company that's constructing homes in this area. So he knows the ins and outs, and he knows what's going on, what's going to be built here and there. Even his own house that he lives in was built by this company. So he knows almost everything.
Yeah. It's a good sort of plot device, right? Like, there's a meaning to this scenario. Like you mentioned, they moved the headstones, not the bodies. Weird corner to cut. It's like, it seems like you already did a decent amount of work. Maybe finish the job.
How do you get like a solid foundation on a house if you're not going that low?
That's a great question.
Do none of these houses have a basement?
Instead of a basement, you have a portal where you put things and they come through the ceiling. So, so it's cool. Like, it ties back into the plot, right? Like, his job is relevant to sort of our experience, and we get to get in my opinion, a much more natural reveal of that sort of twist, because he works for the company that did it. Mm-hmm. Sam Rockwell has no job.
He has no job.
And to me, it's such a strange choice because we're dealing a lot with the struggle of that and not so much with the Poltergeist really early on. It's just like, I mean, kind of going to that 1982 film, I think there's a lot of misdirection. Like, when you first watch a film, the TV's has that static. It's playing the national anthem like TV's used to. And you could watch like the first 30 minutes of this movie and not know what the hell it's about, ultimately. So that's cool. I think that when they do that in that film, because he has a job, because he's tied to a construction company, there's a lot more room to play in that space versus a guy with no job, because it's like, oh man, he's struggling, he's not able to pay for things, his credit card's getting declined, but it's also irrelevant. Right,
it doesn't play into the plot later. Like, Craig T. Nelson's job comes full circle.
Yes.
Like, it's very important that we knew that what his job was and his position and his role and everything, and that he was lied to. Ultimately.
And there's elements where part of it does get a little muddy, like when the Poltergeist stuff happens, Craig T. Nelson's not working at the time, so people are kind of concerned about him. Mm-hmm. But it does bring in a character that's not really in the remake that has some comedic beats, like you were saying, with the bodies, So, I mean, like, I would say that just at the start gives Craig T. Nelson such a leg up, because he has a foundation, he's a successful family man. Mm-hmm. So, like, we don't need to focus on any sort of external striker. It's almost like some of the humor of the movie, where there is humor, it's pitch perfect suburbia.
Right.
Like, it's a suburban normal family versus Sam Rockwell. Yeah, it's a suburban normal family, but like, how'd they close that loan? You're like, you're not working right now? Like,
yeah. Bank's going to deny you. They're going to say, whoa, there's no income coming here from either parent, you know?
As recent homeowners, we're both like, oh, jeez, that's the horror. I'm going to cover that mortgage. Like,
and not only that, they're able to buy another house at the end of the movie with like no problem. No reference to his money issues. He can't even like buy a few things at the grocery store in the beginning of the film. He's buying another house at the end of the film.
It's insane.
Yeah, so that was just, it was a weird decision, but I get that decision to like, well, we don't want to follow the exact same beats, so I was okay.
Yeah.
I was willing to forgive that, like, okay, maybe he doesn't do the thing, because like if he said the line to yeah, move those stones so not that body, it would come across as cheesy. So I could see maybe wanting to stray from that, even though they do kind of say the line.
Yeah,
like a couple people say the line in the movie. Yeah,
it doesn't hit as hard because of the job connection.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that I liked about Craig T. Nelson and just working is like you get this, like you said, it's almost like you don't know what kind of a movie this is.
Yeah.
This is just a professional guy just wearing suits, going to work every day, and then like when Carol Ann, the daughter in the original, it disappears, like you can see like just the disintegration of his character, right?
Yeah.
It's like he's not working anymore. He's just completely disheveled. He's got the 5 o'clock shadow. He looks so tired.
Yes.
Like I could just feel like, because he's not sleeping because he doesn't know where his daughter is, right? So you could really, that comes across so clearly with his character. Like he was here in society. His daughter's missing. He's neglected everything because he's just so concerned about her. And you know, Sam Rockwell, great actor, love him. And because he doesn't have that like high status, he's just kind of like here the whole time. He doesn't have this downward spiral, and I just didn't get it from his character like I did from Craig T. Nelson.
I mean, like Craig T. Nelson is funny in the film. You know, like I said, in the open sequence, okay, there's a TV, there's a national anthem. It's like kids playing pranks that make people spill beers.
Yeah.
He's having like the
football thing, the football thing, the TV faced off with the neighbor.
Yeah, because I guess the way the TV's set up, when one remote hits, it changes both TVs. And I was like, I gotta watch Mr. Rogers. My kid's in here.
I got the game on. Come on.
Like I said, there's times where he gets high. Like he talks about how he used to be a swimmer. You just see him kind of like diving in the bed. Like all these funny moments, and he's funny in that space, but also because he's grounded with his job, he is this sort of like provider male type of archetype, which allows him, even though he gets disheveled towards the end of the film, there's a moment where he gets to be sort of the heroic kind of provider again. And by giving him the foundation of just functioning in society, you know, as just like your kind of, how do you put it, white picket fence type of, you know, I'm gonna go bring home the bacon type of guy. By making him like that sort of archetype, there's just so much more space to play in, like you're saying. Like Sam Rockwell just, I mean, like when he does try to like provide for his family, you're thinking like, oh, this is reckless. Like when he buys them gifts, I'm like, Jesus, dude, you can't even afford a squirrel trap. They sell those. So it's like when he's doing provision or being like kind of heroic in some senses, it falls flat because it's like this guy doesn't have a lot going on at the time.
Yeah, I think that plays there and also plays with the humor because both movies do attempt humor. Yeah. And like you said, the original Craig T. Nelson's doing things in front of the mirror like before, after, like just watching his gut. So and because he doesn't have those financial issues, any woes like that, we're not worried about the family, so we're able to go along for those those comedic bits that are thrown in the movie. But when they throw the comedy in the remake, because we're worried about the finances, like you said, so when they try those funny moments, we're like, well, it doesn't matter. What about the fucking money? What are we gonna do? How are you gonna eat the next day?
I know.
You know, so the comedy just doesn't quite work as well with those characters.
Yeah. I think that you know, like I said, the original film does sort of play in the genre. Like it eventually does settle into the horror of the film. But this remake, I guess, is doing the same thing, but like because it's not really tied into the real problem, which is that there's a poltergeist. Right. The poltergeist is actually affecting Craig T. Nelson's job. You know, this poltergeist is just kind of like piling on at this point, and I think it's just a bit too much of a distraction going into the events of the movie. And again, like you said, Sam Rockwell's a funny guy. He's able to play roles like this. Like I love him in like the movie Moon, which like he plays in space of like serious while being funny. But there's no space for him to do that because like his situation is so dire that I can't, like you said, I can't enjoy the humor because I'm too concerned.
Yeah. And ultimately, like you said, it's inconsequential that they can't. They have no money. It doesn't affect anything later in the film, so you're kind of just spending the shitty time with the family as opposed to this fun time. But we're getting a little ahead because we're talking about the whole family. So I mean, I think it sounds like we're both on Craig T. Nelson.
Craig T. Nelson is so funny in this movie, and then when he's not funny, he's playing the role perfect. Like you said, when he's disheveled, he comes across. You see the stress of the family on him,
right?
And then towards the end, when he has to like kind of make a choice, that like again a heroic choice, he's able to wear that hat too. So like he seamlessly, because of the way the plot's integrated, just plays all these roles so well. And Sam Rockwell, I know, is capable of that, but we don't get to see it. And that's why I agree. I'm wholeheartedly in the Craig T. Nelson camp because he makes the movie in a lot of ways work. Like I think he's very fundamental in why this movie is successful.
Yeah. They're not perfect characters, we see the parents getting high, and then they're like, they might be high when they go to the neighbor's house too. They just can't stop laughing because they've had some weird shit that's happening at their house. I don't know, but they're fun characters, and you're able to have fun because they don't have money woes like they do in the remake. Yeah. And the job connection works with the plot.
It's just really a strange choice, like to have a family move into a house, right? Like the first day you move into the house, you don't have enough money to live in the house. It's really perplexing of a choice.
It was a choice.
It was a choice.
And they stuck with it. Yeah. Let's go on to the moms of each film. We have Jo Beth Williams as Diane Freeling.
Well, who did you mean? Who's here?
And Rosemary DeWitt as Amy Bowen.
Fixer-upper.
All the houses are like this in our price range.
Again, job-wise, kind of similar. Kind of the housewife in both, although in the remake she's housewife/author.
Right.
She's supposed to work on that book, and Sam Rockwell refuses to let her work. Yeah. She's supposed to work on that book. So again, it's just another problem.
It is a problem
for the money, and then he's just being stubborn about no, wife of mine's gonna work. She's gonna make that book. Just let her work, man.
It's weird, especially because we'll talk about the daughter, but like when the daughter needs like a phone, it's like go get her a job. It's like what's happening here? Sorry, not to jump ahead too much, but like it is a strange choice for Sam Rockwell to be like, I don't want you working, and I get it. He's not trying to like stress out his wife or his family, but like, don't you think not having money is a stressor? I think kind of going back to that sort of idyllic suburban lifestyle. Jo Beth. Jo Beth plays the housewife role well. She does play off of Craig T. Williams really well. There's not, again, because there's not really a lot of strife, we get to have these fun moments, like you said, the getting high moment. And overall, she has a pretty good connection with her kids too, because there aren't these money woes. So there are choices in the movie as well towards the ending. I don't want to dive into that, but like that make her a more consequential character than the mother in the remake. And again, it's just sort of how they choose to tell the story, how they choose to kind of end the story.
Right.
But just offhand, again, because there's not the money stress, Jo Beth Williams has a bit of an advantage going into this. Rosemary DeWitt, at one point, it's hard to talk about them without the kids, but like her interaction with the kids there's more stress in those interactions, and she sort of regrets some of the things that she says to kids at times in the movie. So it's hard for her to fill into like the motherly, loving
Right.
slot because the fucking money.
Yeah, it's usually like the kids are acting up and it's more of a discipline thing.
Yeah.
Like her interactions. It's not really just like small moments of just hanging out with the family. It's
Right.
like, stop doing this! Don't act like this,
Right.
you know? I thought we had another baby in the family.
Yeah.
It's like, damn!
Yeah.
Cold, Mom!
She's super cold. Like, and, you know, it's fine that that's what the character does, but, you know, the mom role in the film is not the same. Like, they need Jo Beth to be more maternal. And I think that, like, Jo Beth's connection to the daughter, who we'll talk about, feels a lot more, like, connected because they all seem to like each other most of the time. Versus the remake where, I don't know, again, that the random stress, I think, just makes it hard for us to just take the ride with him.
Yeah. And plus, like, they're always just yelling at the kids. The kid's like, I think something's wrong. It's like, stop
Yeah.
being annoying. You're annoying us right now.
Yeah.
It's like, go away. I don't know. It's just a lot of moments like that in the remake. But before, because we're talking about the kids a little bit. So, like, what I like about with Jo Beth Williams is she's one of the early people in the original movie that, like, experiences, like, poltergeist activity.
Yeah.
And then, like I said in the description, it's very playful at first. So she's like, just like super freaking into it. Like,
Yeah.
she's like having a blast with it. She's like, wait for it. She's like, she brings the husband in. She's like, just look at it, watch it, and it just slides across the floor. And then she's like jumping for joy. She's like,
Yeah.
yes, look at
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah.
so freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And then it's like. I don't know, just like her joy and just like how happy she is. Like, you're able to go along with her again. Just we're not worrying about anything else.
Right.
So like she's already been fun, but getting high earlier, and now she's like having a blast with this poltergeist. You know, kind of like very playful and childlike in her behavior, almost like we would be if we had experienced some bizarre phenomenon like that. So, just very fun role early on, especially before it takes the dark turn. So I was able to follow her journey very easily.
Very, very easily.
Yeah.
I think you're making a great point there with her experiencing the paranormal, right? Like in the remake, that falls more on the kids, and the parents aren't really at first seeing the paranormal activity, and it is mostly played. It's playful in some sense, but like it's mostly played for like a more modern horror film to like jump scare. And the original movie, like, you're not supposed to be scared until you're supposed to be.
Right.
A lot there's modern horror does a lot of that tension. You hear the violin or something like that, and then like, oh, I just picked up this ring. It's like, all right, like cool, but like. Again, you don't get to really sit in that, like you mentioned, that scene is so great when the toys on the floor just like slides across. It's a hell of a lot of fun to the point. So again, for like the first like almost half of the movie, it's just like, man, this is this is great. This is fun, and it settles into what it becomes. And this remake, I think that the remake is trying to be more ominous early, and Diane, I think she plays into that because people in the house are experiencing paranormal activities. She's not, so she's like, what the hell is wrong with these kids? Like, come on.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a lot less fun.
Yeah. That's fun.
And then sort of like, for me, I guess the last thing to really wrap up, because it's hard to talk about the mom character without the kids. Again, it's with her being an author, it's like they allude to it and they don't.
Right.
She doesn't have a laptop, a typewriter, like. I'd be interested in this person that's like trying to write a book and there's like things happening and it's stopping her. Like she's saying like, I'm not writing a book, but it seems more like, again, it's like money problems versus a haunted house. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. We're learning about her character, about these things she does, and we never actually see her try to sit down and write. She does say, like, I'm not really writing.
Right.
She's like, well, you're busy.
Yeah.
All right. That's great. That's a good conversation between you two. Yeah, that would have been interesting to see her, like, try to get some time alone, like, work in an office, and then, like, just some noises, some things moving around that she, just fucking with her, and then, yeah.
Random things like she didn't type on the screen, that'd be cool.
Wow.
That
would be cool.
It's like,
tell me how else you would make
how
this
it
movie.
improve that dynamic. No, I'm a YouTuber. I'm not a writer.
So I think again we're going to go with the original there, Joe Beth Williams.
Yeah, just another character that gets to have fun because they don't have extra woes. Like I said, the choice again, which look, it's a choice, and I think that it is good to differentiate from the other film. But I think that it's just there's too much emphasis on that, and it weakened those two characters. So yeah, the parents in the original just they have the easier lift.
Yep.
So.
For sure. All right, so let's get into some of the kids. I think we'll start with the youngest daughter, the one who can communicate with the ghosts, the specters. We have Heather O'Rourke as Carol Ann Freeling.
They're here.
And Kennedy Clements as Madison Bowen.
Mom, how will you get here? Who are you talking to?
I don't know why they couldn't keep any of these names the same.
Yeah.
If you're doing a remake, just saying. Anyways, all right. So our young daughter's here. How do we start this one?
I'll say this, that Joe Beth, I would say that Heather O'Rourke, to me, is more of like a look than like a fully fleshed out character. Like she's got like the blonde bangs, she's got the voice of mommy. I think really what makes that character work is the dynamic with the mother. Those two play well off of each other. It seems to be a genuinely like heart-wrenching or heartbreaking moment for the mother who's like really struggling with this kid missing. And I think, she does her job well. She stares at things creepily, communicates. She talks to the unseen as well. And I don't know, like, she really comes across, not creepy, but like, I don't know, she just feels like a kid that's being affected. In the remake, I think Kennedy Clements actually gets to do more in the film. I mean, like, not much more. They ultimately sort of occupy the same space, but I think the brother character gets more play, and we see a lot more interaction between the brother and the daughter. So it does change the dynamic away from the mom-daughter connection. I thought that was apparent in the remake.
Wait, for sure, especially with the ending. So, I mean, yeah, they're very similar performances. I thought Kennedy Clements maybe a little creepier.
Yeah. Especially because they do those moments where, like, you think you're seeing her, but it's like a specter or something like that.
Really so it's just a little creepier. Like, Heather O'Rourke just seemed like pretty much like a regular kid most of the time. A lot of smiling from her. Very happy kid. So, I was able to go along with that. You didn't really see Kennedy too playful or happy. So it's just like, well, this is a dark kid here. I don't know, like, what does she know? And, like, just for me, because it's, like, such a famous line that they're here, like, just the way that Heather O'Rourke delivers that versus, like, Kennedy Clements just, like, they're here.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a little flat.
Yeah, no, she plays that so well because, the swing into the horror hinges on the kid. It hinges on Heather in this original film. Like, her, like you said, that creepy, they're here, like, that is the signal that the movie has now shifted tone. In the remake, they're here is like, we know. We've seen them a couple times. We're aware. And, like, I don't know, like, that line, to your point, is delivered. Yeah, I don't blame the kid, but like the way they set her up, like, it's delivered so flat that it's like, all right, it feels like you're just checking the box versus this iconic horror moment.
Yeah, which, said with the, innocently enough, but it's just like the implication behind the way Heather O'Rourke says it, and then as opposed to Kennedy, who's, I guess, trying to sound a little darker and ominous, and just comes across flatter.
Yeah. And, again, I think we get to see Kennedy. I feel like there's more sort of weight and gravity to her in the sense that like she's not just like this happy-go-lucky kid who's just like, yeah, I'm not worried about anything. Like she's just as concerned as almost everybody else that's seeing these events, and like you said, because it's not even foreshadowing. Like you actually see things before, much earlier in this film than you do in the original. So we don't really get that moment for her to really be that character that's like the naive innocent.
Right.
She's not. She's like aware of what's happening, and it just changes that dynamic when you get that big line. So I mean, I think that gives her more to do, but I don't think it pays off.
Yeah, because like we start with the family in the remake while they're buying the house. Right. So immediately, like her first real interaction that we see with her is her talking to the closet.
Right.
So she's like a weird girl right off the bat. Right. Like so they really just like didn't like, now you're gonna be the weird girl the rest of the movie, like from start to finish, as opposed to Carol Ann, who we don't really see her acting that weird. Like she's a little staring at the TV sometimes, but it's not really until that they're here moment that she kind of crosses that line.
I mean, the characters may be the same age. The Carol Ann, like the Heather's character, feels younger too. Like she feels, like I was saying the word naive before. Like I don't know how she's supposed to be, but she feels like she's like 4, and like anything she's saying, she's not taking in. This could be dangerous.
Right.
She's just like, these are my friends, sort of. In the remake, I mean, I think she even used the line "friends," but like, there's nothing friendly about a lot of these interactions. So, I just think it hits different, and I prefer the kind of like more, almost like blank slate of the original versus this character has to kind of fill in more of the dots. Like she has to act more, which I think actually is detrimental to this character.
Yeah, because she has to, I guess, convey a little bit more of the horror as opposed to like Heather or Rourke, who was just, she pretty much had to play innocent the whole time. And that's kind of, that's all you really need from her character. She doesn't have to have this wide range of like emotions and everything. Just play innocent, and then like, you can kind of hear her, is that you, Daddy? Is that you, Mom? It's not me. Run away from the light.
Yeah. And I think that's a key there, that like the innocence is more apparent for that character, and it's important that the most innocent person in the family is the one being affected by this poltergeist.
Right.
It's very important for the plot that that's the character being affected the most.
Right.
In this remake, almost because of the way it's playing, it's like dealer's choice. Pick a kid at that point. They went with the daughter because
that's how they did it in the original.
Right, but like it really, because the character we're about to talk about, because the emphasis on the brother in this remake, maybe it should have been him.
Could have been him easily.
Yeah, we spend much more time.
We do spend much more time with him. So let's get into the sons. We have Oliver Robbins as Robbie Freeling. The original, and Kyle Catlett as Griffin Bowen in the remake.
No way. You try.
So
Griffin gets a lot of screen time. He gets a lot more screen time than Robbie. Sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, besides the tree scene and the clown that we'll talk about, the Robbie Freeling character is me. I can hardly remember him in the movie. Like, he's important because like he's reacting to things in the house, but like, again, the original film's more centered on the parents' connection with the daughter versus like the kids' interaction with each other. So Robbie, look, he does his job. He's the kid brother, and he just does that. But Kyle Catlett's Griffin is like, he's the movie.
Yeah, he's the one with the arc.
He's the entire movie. he sees things kind of first. He's the only one that's kind of like piping up about it. He's like, hey, these things are happening, and no one's listening to him.
No, nobody. Everyone's just like telling him, shut up, Griffin. Nobody cares. Good parenting.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, this weird fucking kid, he just won't shut up. And like, there's moments too where like Griffin's in the film, like he blames himself for things that are happening when you're the person that deserves the least blame.
Yeah, you were trying to warn everybody of that shit that was happening. Nobody listened to you, and you're blaming yourself.
Yeah. It's kind of shit, because like you got the parents who aren't working, who aren't listening to their kids, and you've got a kid who's like trying his best. And I will say though that like I appreciate the acting and how much screen time he gets. I hate it's too much for me.
It's a lot for him. They gave, we didn't get to it when we get to the endings, but they pretty much gave him the mom arc.
Yeah. He's the mom, but like he also plays. I don't know. We've talked about characters like this in the past. Like he's not like a angsty teen or stuff like that. Like, but I'm thinking of that movie with Robbie and what was that? Not the Day War of the Worlds. Like,
yeah.
It feels like that. Like we've made the kids. Well, there weren't kids in the original War of the Worlds, really, but like we made these kids so pivotal to the plot, and like if you don't like the kid,
I say, yeah,
it's a struggle. Like I think Griffin's a fine enough character, but it is a lot of like, it's a lot of the whining, and because the parents are reacting like that, I'm kind of reacting like that. It's like, yeah, kid, shut up. And I don't want to, I don't want to have that reaction, but it's kind of the reaction I have, which is like, look, I know there's poltergeists, I see them, so like,
right.
Why do I have to keep listening to this kid? Like, let's get into this at this point, because you breached that ground so early, and the original son is so unimportant ultimately that making the son more important and taking that away from the parents, that kid better be rock solid. Which, he's fine, but like, I don't know, he kind of annoyed me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
No, I can see that, because all he does is like he complains about the new house, he complains about his new room, he's just complaining he's just always complaining. Like the first half of the movie, all he does is complain and get scared. So it's hard to get behind his character because there's no like redeeming or heroic quality, but that kind of flips at the end, kind of randomly, comes out of nowhere.
Yep.
Because there was no build up to it. It was just suddenly like, well, now Griffin's gonna do the thing. Yeah. So like
totally
his heroic turn is just diminished because it really does come out of nowhere.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm thinking about why I use the word annoying. There's like a moment in the movie where it feels like Sam Rockwell and Rosemary DeWitt are about to like get it on, And it's like, all right, like we're gonna play in some of the space that Craig T. Jones was able to play in. And
Craig T. Nelson.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Craig Jones. He's an MMA guy. Yeah, that Craig T. Nelson and Joe Beth Williams. I thought that we were gonna get some scenes like that. And then the kid's like a total cockblock. And you're like, they do the jump scare, but it's just the son coming in the room. I'm scared. And like now that scene just like stops. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh man, I thought like, I don't know, like that felt like it was going a fun place. Like, look, I don't need to see these two bang on camera. But like kind of seeing them interact and be like a couple, like in the original film, I was like, oh, cool, we're about to get that. And no, the kid is the reason why we don't get that scene.
So and immediately you just don't like the kid.
Yeah, like he's laying in the bed with him. It's like, all right, like every night you need the nightlight. You need to sleep in the bed. And it's like, not to be harsh, but it's like, this kid's starting to get a little older. Like, how long am I going to keep up with this? I don't know. You're right. Like it to me hurts his arc because I'm just like, I think the point was he was afraid and he faces his fears,
right? But
he's so afraid, for so long that I didn't get up for the bit.
And they didn't really explain his fears, like given a rational. Like they kind of explained, like one time the mom left him somewhere for a few hours, and he's like, Dad's like, who cares? He's older now. He'll get over it.
Left him at the mall or something.
Like maybe if we understood why he was the way he was, it might be easier to follow his journey. But you're right, he does just come across as just the annoying kid who just ruins every scene that seems to be going in an interesting direction. Then it makes it all about him and all the shit he's experiencing, which, you know, justifiably so. But then you're just building like this annoying character.
Yeah, and what I think undermines this arc too is that Kennedy Clements, who's actually in danger, is handling everything much better.
Yeah.
Like, she's supposed to be younger than him, and she's like, this is fine. So, like, to have the older brother, again, that doesn't mean much, because, like you said, there's this backstory. He was left at the mall, so he's a little skittish. I don't know, like, I do fall into, like, the mom at one point is upset with herself because she's like, basically, shut up. I'm kind of with her in that scene. I'm like, man, like, hey, kid, like, let's tighten up, man. Like, your younger sister's dealing with the poltergeist just fine.
I thought we already had a baby in the family. Like, damn.
That was harsh, man.
That's the best line she has.
Yeah.
It's the most memorable for me.
And, you know, unfortunately, it's like, he's being undermined. He's like this nightlight kid, which, you know, because he's older. If he was younger, I could work with it, but he's older, and it doesn't fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
But for the plot, a necessary character.
It's very necessary in that movie. But let's go on to the person who probably gets the least amount of screen time in both films. That's the oldest daughter. We have Dominique Dunne as Dana Freeling. And Saxon Charbonneau as Kendra Bowen. Now you want to talk about underserved characters in either film. This is the one. This is the oldest daughter. She didn't really do much in the original. Like, she was always like, I'm going out, I'm gonna hang out with my friends.
Yep.
Even at the ending, she's like, I'm going out. Like, the most action she really has in the movie is when some old creepy guys hit on her who are doing some work building her pool.
Yeah.
And then she flips them off, and then she comes back at the end and she has a massive hickey on her neck. That's about it.
Yeah.
And she knows where a motel is located.
That's pretty funny.
That's where she goes.
That's pretty funny.
She doesn't really get terrified too much by the poltergeist, like, herself. Like, she's just there experiencing when Caroline's missing, but nothing really bad happens to her.
Right, and even to an extent, like, just kind of goes on doing her own thing.
Yeah, like she has like a whole side movie.
Right, yeah, there would be an interesting movie of like, what was she doing the whole time?
Yeah, tell Poltergeist from her point of view. My family's fucking crazy. What's happening?
Weird ass family.
Going out again.
You got a problem in the house? Leave. Like, it's working for me.
Yeah.
She's a fun character in that way, but like there are large sense of the movie where she's just like not there.
Yeah. So,
which kind of funny enough kind of works, you know, like at the big sort of ending moment, like she like literally just kind of rolls up.
Yeah, they just got to shoehorn in. Oh, don't forget about the oldest one.
She's like, what's happening? Hey, we got some poltergeist problems. Like, oh,
Daddy.
Yeah. Get the fucking car later. We'll get there. But a fun character in that sense that these sort of like moments that really probably shouldn't be in the movie.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely wouldn't work today, her getting hit on by these guys building the pool.
That wouldn't work, and I think like her lack of solidarity with the family, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I think the remake smartly gives the older sister, she sticks around.
Okay, yeah,
right?
There you go.
There's that. And for Saxon's Charbonneau. Yeah, for Saxon Charbonneau's Kendra Bowen, we don't get a lot of fun moments with her. She's kind of a whiner too. Like her phone breaks and she complains. And
family full of complainers.
Yeah, just a bunch of whiners over there in the Bowen family. But what she does get to do is she has this kind of nonsensical obsession with Medium on television, which plays into the film. Other than that, Saxon's the oldest daughter.
Yeah, honestly, because Dominique Dunne was fine in the original, but she was such a small character.
Yeah.
I would have been fine for remake. It's like, you know what? 2 kids in the family.
Yeah. or like, I honestly think that like it may have worked better for her to do what Dominique was on. Like, just go get in the teen trouble. Like, cause. I mean, she didn't cause trouble either. She
she's just out. Yeah.
But you're right. Like, if the character's so inconsequential, wouldn't it make more sense that like the son would be kind of like on YouTube watching like that type of character?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get the teen who's like calling her friend while watching like the paranormal mystery show. There's kids like that out there. It just, I don't know. It seemed like a shoehorn.
I just think she's like. She was such a small character in the original. I think you really could have just consolidated her, just made her, give her some of the son's character, have the son be the one watching the show, and that way, once the daughter's gone, then that's her only kid now.
Yeah.
So it's the consequences are very dire if he goes at the end. So like,
that's a great point.
So yeah, let's raise the stakes. Let's only have 2 kids.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You know, in the opening sequence of the film, the son in the remake is. Instead of the TV, he's kind of like playing this like game on his tablet. Like, if he's playing with a screen there, maybe that's his thing. He's like, I got my tablet, I'm playing games, or I'm watching this paranormal guy. For it to be the daughter, just like, that doesn't make sense. Like, just you should be on her phone and like not in the movie as much, or like you're saying, just not there.
Yeah,
it doesn't really bring anything to the table other than this. Just almost non-believable obsession with paranormal mystery show. Like it just didn't feel. It felt flat.
Yeah, like they didn't really give her much more to do in this. So that's why I think like you just didn't need her.
Right.
Ultimately, at least like. You know, Dominique Dunne's character, like, her going out all the time. At least that's memorable. Like, I can't really remember anything Saxon did.
No, she
actually did. Like, being a fan of a TV show isn't like something she did.
Right. I mean, she put her family into bankruptcy by getting like a new iPhone. And when she experienced like a paranormal moment, she goes on this like gibberish like rant that was like, "Hey, slow. No one understands what you're saying." That's it. Those are the 2 moments. She's kind of a jerk about her phone, and she, like, in a moment where she could, like, say what's going on, she's like, the kid's missing. It takes her so much time to, like, I don't know. I think maybe it was supposed to be funny or something like that, but I was just like, why is this teen unable to express herself? And I get it. There's a poltergeist. I get that. But I don't know. Like, any other time in the movie, she seems perfectly competent. It just, it underserved, like, kind of unnecessary character.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go with the original, just because
she's funny sometimes.
Yeah, she's funny sometimes. Flipping off of the guys at the pool.
Yeah,
that works for me. More memorable than anything the other character did in the remake.
Yeah,
that's for sure. All right, so that's the family. We have a bunch of other characters to get to. I just want to talk about the doctor, the one that they go to when after they lose the daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So in the original, we have Beatrice Straight as Dr. Martha Leash. And Jane Addams as Dr. Brooke Powell.
When was the last time you had contact with her? Before she was taken?
So it's kind of tough for me to really kind of break into these characters, but like Beatrice Straight, I'll say this, that it, because of the way the effects work in the movie, like they come in and like it's full bore. There's no these poltergeists, like, we're not hiding, we are poltergeists. And Beatrice Straight, like, we get a lot of reaction from her just being like, because they start, we've seen some things move. Fucking 7 hours. And, she's just like freaking out. She's like got her coffee cup. She's like, this is a lot. I think that I do appreciate that element of the doctor in the original, that they're kind of in over their head, like almost immediately. So like this expert comes in and is like, whoa, like, I don't know what to do. Versus I felt that, I felt that Jane Addams felt more like a specialist. Like, they had more like the modern paranormal investigation gear, like all the heat stuff, like stuff you would see on, I don't know, I forget the channels, but like
Ghost Hunters.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So like they felt like more prepared ghost hunters versus like, I felt like the Doctor in the original was a bit more reactionary because this is so outside of the scope of what they could ever believe.
Yeah. What I like about Beatrice Straight's Doctor is that there's some, like after all the crazy stuff initially, there is some like downtime where they're just like everybody's kind of sleeping, and then she's just kind of just chatting with the mom.
Yeah.
You know, just getting to know each other, and then there's like a bond that forms between the Doctor and the mom.
Yeah.
And then like she eventually like more stuff happens, and then she has to leave because she's like you said, out of her element. I don't know what to do, but don't worry, like I promise I'm gonna come back. Like there's a genuine concern that she has for the family. She really cares about the mom and the family and about getting that little girl back. Like I really got a good sense of that in the original film.
That's a great point.
Don't really get that in the remake because, you know, Jean Adams, like she doesn't have that downtime with the family where she could just like sit down and just talk with anybody in the family, and they don't really have her bond with the mom or anybody else in the family because her connection is more with the spiritual medium.
Right.
So they focus more on that relationship than the relationship with the family. So I prefer, you know, the connection with the family.
Yeah. I think it goes back to what we were saying about the youngest daughter. I'm sorry. Yeah. I think it goes back to what we were saying about Heather O'Rourke being such an innocent child. Like, everyone's playing off of that, right? So, like, the Doctor's like, oh my goodness, like, this is horrible. It feels like that versus, like, Jane Addams is like, you know, kind of like, I'll see what I can do. You know? Like, she's kind of in a sense like, yeah, maybe, you know? And then it didn't feel like, you know, if they don't save the kid or whatever, she's like, yeah, well, you know, interesting. I'll, you know, make field notes about this. But yeah, you're right. That connection with the mom, and again, the fact that we focus on the mother-daughter relationship allows the Doctor to come into that bond. Like, maybe she's understanding because she has her own kids or whatever that is. She understands the sentiment. Everyone plays off of that. So when she seeks more help, it's out of, like you're saying, this genuine desire to solve this problem because she cares about these people now. I felt like Jane Addams' team is there mostly to, they're mostly there for like quips and, you know, kind of one-liners and stuff. You know, I don't know, like they're almost antagonistic. Not that Jane Addams does this, but one of her people literally says like, "So what is this? Is it for the money? Like what's going on?" Like,
right.
Like, you know, they're not bonding with the family. They're like skeptical of the family. It's a different dynamic.
Yeah. It's just I like the heart.
Yeah.
I like that heart connection.
Yeah.
So I'll go for the Doctor. I mean, there's some small characters in pretty much both films, but just, you know, connecting with that family more, having that genuine concern for Carol Ann, I don't know, spoke to me more. Yeah,
and like, I like elements of Jane Addams, kind of like when we talk about the medium and her kind of like, you know, trying to like kind of pretty herself up for the medium, but also, who gives it? You know, we'll get into that character, but who cares? Like, like, hey, sorry, there's a kid missing. Like, where's our focus? And I think you're right. Like, that heart and that focus on the family plays better, so the Doctor is better in the original, ultimately.
I don't know if you want to talk about the team. Maybe we could save that. Like, they're not...
I think the team is like, kind of...
Yeah, well, I mean, there's like Poltergeist activity we could talk about when we talk about the team, or the rest of the team. But let's get into our spiritual mediums. We have Zelda Rubinstein as Tangina Barron.
I've never sensed anything like it.
And Jared Harris as Kerrigan Burke.
First things first. Your daughter is here, and she's alive.
I'm going to start with Jared Harris, just because it's easier. He's the reality star. Like we said before, he has this relationship with the Doctor. They're exes. They used to be married. So they have a good back and forth. And like they have a nice little playful thing going there. But like it's like at this moment in the movie where I'm supposed to be concerned about the youngest daughter, but focusing more on this relationship between this doctor and this medium who were brought in way later in the film.
Right. Like, the only purpose for them to be there is to help save this kid, and we're sitting here like, yeah, that's my ex. You know?
Yeah. I used to be charming, you know?
You know? And it's like, oh, I don't care. Like, maybe I care later. I don't care right now. Like you're saying, like, hey, what's the plan? You know? Like, these two, like, flirting and stuff like that just feels so inappropriate when there's a child being harassed by they're not the undead, but, like, you know, people shuffling through this mortal coil into the afterlife. It's like, focus, focus. I think he's one of the stronger characters, actually, Burke, in the film. I think that they wisely take a line from the original film and use it as, like, the hashtag, like, this house is clean. Like, right, I think that's one of the few times where a line from the original movie felt like, not that they improved it, but, like, kind of, like, made sense and, like, sort of worked.
Well, because they used it, like, it's like the tagline of a reality TV show.
Right.
So it comes across, like, it's cheesy in the show, but, like, because they're, like, referencing it, so it's not cheesy when the characters say it.
Right.
So because they're acknowledging how cheesy it is on the show. So it works. It really works.
Yeah, to the point where, like, he doesn't even want to say it. Like, this line, he's like, the house is clean.
Yeah, but he's an interesting character.
Yes.
I wasn't sure, though, like, about him at first. Like, because he's a reality star, right? So, like, is he really gonna help them, or is he just kind of full of shit? Like, how much does he really deal with, like, all these spiritual things and specters? Like, how does he really know how to save the kid?
Right. Like,
or because I just didn't get that reading from him, because he did just come in, like, seemed like cocky and like oh, I used to bang her. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. And then, you know, like, there's an open question because they're saying this can't be on the show, so it's like, I don't even think you had to say it. It was just kind of like start solving, you know. Like, I wasn't at the time being like, is this guy gonna, like, you know, exploit this family? I was like, I generally thought he was there to help, but, like, they did enter the question, sort of like what you were saying, was like, is this guy legit, or is he just like some fake TV dude? You know, I don't know. He's got a lot of charisma, you know, when it comes to, like, the flirting, stuff like that. He's confident about his ability to, you know, take on these poltergeists. He's got some cool backstories. One took my leg, and you know, he's a very solid character. But again, because he's such a late entry, there are things that they do with him. Like, he has, like, a bit of a heroic arc too. That, like, I don't care. You know, like, I find myself saying that with a lot of the characters in this film. Like, all right, like, good luck, you know. You know, so, like, for me, like, Jane Addams, her doctor character and, like, this Kerrigan Burke reality guy. Sure, there's some interesting interplay between them, but, like, it's irrelevant because they're not really foundational to they're not grounded yet as characters, so, like, any play amongst them is, like, inconsequential ultimately. But it's some of the more interesting things that happen, so I'll give him that.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the more interesting characters, and I am able to, like, get on his side, but like you said, he's a late entry in the game, so it's like it's hard at times to, like, to really get on board, but ultimately I do get on board with Jerry Harris's character.
I would say so. And, you know, one other thing before going in, because of like I said, it's a more modern paranormal experience, they do have to kind of, like, get us up to speed on, like, some of the tech they're using, and I think that, like, there are times where it's not super confusing, like, it's easy enough to follow, but I think that you got, like, these two teams, like, you got the actual spiritual medium, Kerrigan Burke, you have the doctor, so, like, there's a lot going on getting up into that closet area that needs to happen in the film. And I think that can get a little muddy, and I think that part of the problem is he is such a late entry. I in the original, Zelda Rubinstein is a late entry, but boy, did she make an entrance.
That. I mean, Zelda Rubinstein, you see, that's why I was like, I wasn't sure about Jared Harris, because, like, you know, he pretty much just played, like, this cool guy, this cool reality TV star, but, like, Zelda Rubinstein, it's like, That's a medium. I'm not doubting anything. Like, just like, you know, her voice. She has one of those voices that's like instantly recognizable. Yeah. It's just it was perfect for this role.
Yeah, she really was perfect. I mean, because she comes in, she's so like she's short as hell. She's got I can't even do the voice. Like, it's so unique. But like, you know, there's instant skepticism from Craig Nelson's character. Like, he's like, are you sure? And she's like, well, if she's a psychic or something, she can hear me telepathically. Like, and she has that line from upstairs. Like, yeah, I hear you. I just don't want. I don't like a trap question or whatever her line was. But it's like, oh yeah, she's legit. Like, she can hear your thoughts. Like, gives her instant credibility in the situation because the doctors, like we mentioned, really have no solution for this at all. Bringing the medium in, like Kerrigan felt okay in the remake, like a little extra firepower. But like, you know, you need Tangina Barrons for this because no one else knows what's going on.
Yeah, so that really just like elevates her status. Like, like they went to who they thought was the best, and then the best went to the best. Yeah. As opposed to like the remake where it's like, well, we call him this guy. He's our closer, just in case we can't seal the deal.
Yeah. So, you know, going back, like, I wasn't trying that hard yet. It's like there's a missing child. But man, she is just dynamite in this movie. Man.
She's just so eerie the way she talks. It's that voice, man. It's perfect for this role.
It's perfect and commanding because, like, she is directing you're over here, stay out of the way, and she brings again the mother character into the fold. She's like, you have the biggest connection, which has been proven time and time again in the movie, right? So it's like, we know she has the biggest connection because she talks to the doctor. We know the mother has the biggest connection. We need the mother to do her role in trying to get her daughter back. And you have to trust her. She's like, there's that line. She's like, you may have to do things that, as a Christian, you like, would never dream of. Stuff like that. Like, she just has these commanding lines, and she has them. I don't know. She's just a very powerful character that in such a short amount of time just like steals the fucking movie, man. Yeah. She's awesome, dude.
And then she's also like, she has like this one part where like she's like, don't walk into the light, and then she's like, walk into the light, and then Crazy Nelson's like, what are you talking about? I was like, don't walk into the light. You're not a bad idea. So it's like, it's like, whose side is she on? Yeah. So it's like, you know, she's got this very childlike voice, but it get pretty dark at times.
Yeah, it's just such a like, I don't know, like she feels otherworldly in this role. Like, where does this woman come from? She just sweeps in with all this knowledge and like sort of magic, and she is so like just different. Like you said, the voice, the height, and like, but just in complete control of the situation, and just like raises the stakes, brings the solution. Like, there's just so much that this character does in like this short amount of time, and I'm like, wow. I'm the casting choice is phenomenal.
Yeah,
like I've never seen someone do that so quickly in a movie.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, her credibility, like she has the powers, but just like just her whole manner, the way she talks, the way she handles her stuff, it's like it's so much easier to believe that this is a spiritual medium as opposed to Jared Harris's character. You know, did a fine job, but you compare it to Zelda.
I mean, that's the problem, right? Like, because like I'm sitting there, I'm like, how do they match this? And you know, let's not try. Smart call, actually. Like,
no, you're not.
Like maybe you get like a Helena Bonham Carter or something like that in there, but I think that would have been cheesy. I think Jared Harris actually was a smart choice.
Oh, definitely, because you can't go one-to-one with that. It's not going to work. So going the route of the reality TV star, I actually really like that because there are so many reality TV shows based about ghosts. So it's like, I was a little upset when like they kind of went the same route as the original because they like brought in the team. I was like, why are they doing that? They should have just gotten some reality TV guy. And then they brought him in. I was like, smart move. Okay, so it was definitely a good choice to go in a different direction. But that original performance from Zelda, oof,
man, it's phenomenal. Like, you know, like I always say, like I'm not really a horror film guy, but like, I don't know, like I said, just the performance really just pulls together this portion of the film, this like in-game part of the film, and I can't imagine anyone else playing this role. I can't imagine. I don't know what this movie looks like without Zelda's character at the end. It's just such a standout performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star-making role, for sure. Those are pretty much all the characters I want to talk about. I mean, well, there's one other character, the Poltergeist itself, I guess. And there's a lot of similarities in both films, so maybe we can just do some verses here and talk one-to-one. So the first thing I want to talk about is the TVs, because that's like our opening shot in the original film, right? And then so we got the static TVs versus the, I'm just going to say, glitching out TVs in the remake. Now, the thing that I love about the original Poltergeist is like the way they just make it seem like, you know, your ordinary house, like anything in your ordinary house can like be terrible for you. Like this is going to be haunted. There's going to be a ghost here. Just take an everyday thing like static TVs. I don't know. Our audience remembers the old static TVs, but I sure remember having static on my TV back in the day. And just to use that and say, like, you know what, that's not just static. There might be a ghost or an apparition in there, and they're just fucking with you. So it's like, man, like this thing that I never paid attention to, and just you know, putting that dark twist on it. I really appreciate that.
It's because it was sort of a because it was sort of a common thing with televisions, like. You may turn the channel and there may be static. Like, it's based in like a common experience. Right. So saying that like in that space between the channels, the paranormal can reach you. It instantly like, you know, makes you look at your TV. Like, it's like, could I get sucked into my closet? You know, like it's taking this like this extraordinary scenario and like making it feel like this could happen to you. That to me is better than a TV that's kind of messed up.
Right, because nobody's TV does that.
No.
You don't experience that every day, as opposed to back in the day when, you, like you said, you change channel, you'll see some static between the channels.
Like if your TV does that today, you're just getting a new TV, basically. You know. And if you're having money problems, it may be kind of tough.
But it's not an everyday occurrence. You're not going to see your TV glitch out every time you turn it on, every time you turn it off. But you would see static all the time back in the day.
And, I mean, like, I think that's why that sort of opening and that running theme throughout the movie is so sort of iconic and referenced because, people know about static TV. And it just works so well. And what a smart choice to make that the opening of the movie, like because like we said, when you're first watching the film, you watch the first 30 minutes of this movie, I can tell you're watching a comedy, and that tracks. But having the TV do that in the beginning, it's a foreshadowing that comes back into play in a really great way. So it's a much better plot point. I actually thought they were going to do something with the tablet or something with the kids, like maybe they get sucked in because like we're an internet or social media thing. No, he was just playing a zombie game.
That's what I was a little disappointed that the remake couldn't figure out, like just like a more like modern update to that instead of we'll just do the TV again.
Like maybe there's like I hate like rewriting things on the fly, but like, maybe there's a mysterious app that shows up on your phone or something like that.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, new streaming service does something different. You know,
just a thought.
I don't know. It's just the static TV was just such a clever way to use something that people experienced every day, and I feel like they kind of missed something by not doing that in the remake.
Totally missed the mark because again, like the TV being messed up in remake is literally just checking a box at that point because it doesn't have the same impact.
Yeah, I mean, people use other devices all the time. So they don't just use TVs. Some people just don't use TVs at all. They just use their tablets and stuff.
I really thought because they used the tablet in the opening sequence, I thought that they would do something there, and I think that actually in a modern telling of the story makes a lot of sense. But left that on the table.
So let's go to another phenomenon, and this is one I really like. because it's just so simple and just really effective. Just the stacked chairs versus the stacked comics. And I just love the way it's done in the original film, right? The mom's complaining like, nobody puts the chairs in the table anymore, and then the camera just follows her going back into the kitchen, and then it follows her going back to the dining area, and then the chairs are just stacked.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
It's such a simple but incredibly effective just way of just letting you know something's not right.
Right.
It's like, just how the fuck did those chairs get stacked so fucking quickly? It's a really cool effect, and I am so disappointed that the remake just did CGI comics instead of, like, you know, if you want to do comics, there's a way that you can glue comics and just like have them, and then like it weren't real comics, and it wasn't like one shot either.
No. And the other side of it is, again, things that are, just because they're similar doesn't make them the same narratively. So the mom experiencing that matters, right? Like she's experiencing this paranormal activity. It's important for her to get on board with that. At this point in the movie, we know the kid believes this paranormal activity. The mom told him to move the comic books or something like that, but she doesn't see this. So like when the comics fall, the only one that knows about it is the kid. And basically now the kid just has to like clean up. So like nothing has furthered in the plot. Versus like the stacked chairs actually matters because the mom's like, okay, I can't explain this. For a kid that already has seen a myriad of occult, or not occult, but a myriad of paranormal things already, what are stacked comics to that?
Yeah.
Who does that inform that this is ramped up? The kid, he's already on 10 already. It's not the same, and you're right. I think by not having it as a practical effect, that's pretty weak too.
Yeah, you could easily do it if they were able to do it in the 80s. I don't see why you couldn't do it in 2015. Right. And like just a nice one long shot, follow the kid into the room, and then like have the camera go behind him. He goes out, and then just bam, just like a stack full of comics.
Yeah.
You could easily do that, and I just hate the laziness of like, let's just CGI it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just not as effective, cause, especially when you know like what they did in the original film. Just like those stacked chairs just come out of fucking nowhere, and it's like, what? That's so cool.
And you know, correct me if I'm wrong here. In terms of sequences, that scene when like the hallway kind of extends in the original movie. Since we're talking about effects, I'm sure there's a very easy explanation of like how they got that scene, but like I don't know how they did that. I don't know. Like I'm not that smart of a man, right? Like I was just like, wow, that's so cool because it feels like one shot, and like the hallway just gets long as hell. And I don't think they even have the equivalent in the remake.
No, I don't have anything like that. Well, I think that's like a trick that Steven Spielberg likes doing, because like there's a shot like that in Jaws where it just feels like everything's just like getting stretched out. So there's some type of camera technique.
Yeah.
And like I get not doing that because it's been done in like a few films before, so it's like to recreate that would just feel like, well, we're just doing it again because they did. So I was okay with that.
That's fair.
In fact, but I like to your point though, like maybe they could have done something a little different. Like,
right.
Instead of doing like the same camera trick, like, well, we got CGI. Like I know I was complaining about it, but maybe let's do something where the room does seem like it's just getting further away.
Yeah, I think that as we talk about some more of these effects, they're like there is something to seeing. I know we talk about a lot practical effect. There's something to seeing work put into a set piece and knowing we're like, oh, they had to actually do that. Versus CGI, like CGI, obviously it works, and I mean we use it so much, but like this original film does so much, like you said, tricks with the camera, tricks with some of the set design and the stacked chairs. Like it feels like I don't know. I don't want to shit on CGI, but it's like it feels like there's a craftsmanship and artistry to the film that I think elevated that film as well.
It's just, for me, it's just harder for me to get scared at things that like, oh, it's clearly fake.
Yeah, that's true.
I know it's all fake, but for some reason, it's like, oh, it's computer generated. It's not really happening. So
yeah,
it just doesn't work for me. But yeah, what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Let's move on to another one. Tree versus tree. So you have the old creepy dead tree with like a face in it.
Yeah.
In the original, and then we have our handsy tree in the remake, I guess. This is one I'll actually give to the remake.
Okay.
Because I thought that tree looked so fucking dumb in the original film. It clearly didn't look like a tree. It just looked like plastic to me.
Yeah.
I know I'm commending it for like, practical effects, but like, ooh, this is one that did not age well for me.
That's fair. Yeah, I'll give you that. I think the way the kid gets pulled out in the original feels, I don't know, like I think I like the look of that aesthetic more than like in the remake. The way, I think part of it is because it's these small choices. Part of it is like the family's in the house when it happens, so like we're seeing it from like inside the house as he's getting pulled out, versus like we see him inside the house, but like by the time anyone else sees it, he's outside the house and he's kind of dangling. And like again, the tree looks much better in the remake, and this is nitpicking really, but I don't know. It just didn't, that portion, like him leaving the house, I enjoyed more in the original. But I think overall, I think the remake did a perfectly fine job of that scene.
Yeah, I thought it was cool how the tree crashed into the window, and then like you're just like, oh, that was freaking freaky, and then all of a sudden you just see it pulling him, and you're like, oh wow, okay, so we're taking it to the next level. And so that I did like. Everything else about the tree, I didn't like. I didn't like the way it looked. I didn't understand why he's just like, this is a creepy tree, but he was climbing it earlier. Yeah. So it's like, why are you climbing a creepy tree? And then like, when he was eating him.
That was...
I like practical effects, but that one just...
that was pretty bad.
Just cheesy. So I'm happy the remake didn't have the tree eating him. And, the tree just looked better. It did look a little cheesy when the branches were chasing him in the house, like in the hallway and everything. Like that, I was just like, all right. I feel like they should have just crashed in and took him instead of like having this kind of chase scene in the remake. But ultimately, because it didn't look as bad, and because they didn't eat him, I'm gonna go with what the tree did in the remake.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's the right call. And also, I don't blame that tree. The way Sam Rockwell threw that baseball so poorly, I don't mind the tree trying to eat the family. that was a bad throw.
Wait, did you see the theatrical cut or extended cut?
I don't know. Was there not a baseball?
I didn't see a baseball.
Yeah, whatever. Don't worry about it. Just cut that out.
All right, because like I just saw a theatrical. I saw there was a theatrical, and then the extended cut's like 10 minutes more.
I probably watched the extended cut.
Because I was looking at I looked it up online. Like, what was I missing? Like maybe there's some good stuff in here. I was like, there's a baseball thing that was cut.
Yeah, it's so irrelevant. Like they just moved in. He hands the kid a glove, and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna play catch." Yeah. And Sam Rockwell just lobs the ball nowhere near the kid, and goes into the tree. And then, I don't know why that was relevant, but
that was in the extended cut. Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know what else would have changed, but I saw the extended then.
Okay.
All
right. Moving on. Clown versus clown. Creepy clowns.
I'm kind of leaning towards a remake here, man. I think the clown design was better. I think seeing the interior of the clown after a clown fight or whatever, I think was better. But that one in the original was super creepy.
Yeah, it was super creepy as hell. What I like about the one in the remake is like, that nose. That was such a good addition. Just to have that nose on the string and then you're just following it. And it really does suck you in. It's like, where's it going? Where are we going here? Yeah. And then the way, like, it's so slow. And then, like, when it's, like, close enough to the face, it just snaps so fast. So that was really good design.
That was
for the clown.
That was definitely in the improvement department.
For sure.
I was very much, like you said, just the way they use the clown with the extended nose. It's very smart stuff. Yeah,
like especially like when he's like just following it, and it's like going around his leg, and it's like, oh man, where is this clown? You just want to know where the clown is, and like I could just follow the string, but like I gotta follow the red nose.
Yeah.
So just really well designed. Yeah, still creepy in the original film. But then, like, so it's like the creepy clown smile, But then when it goes to like the evil clown, it's like that's a little cheesy, and that didn't age well. And it's like, if this kid doesn't like the clown, why is the clown in the house at all? Like, he keeps waking up and throwing blankets over it every goddamn night.
It's confusing as hell. And the one thing in the remake, which is interesting, like, they just left a box of like clowns in the house.
That's creepy. That's creepy. I mean, I just bought a house. I found one of those heads, that, for hair.
Yeah.
So, people leave weird shit in the house, so I'll allow that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that would freak me out. That would have to go.
Yeah, that went right away. So, yeah, the clown, but just going a little off topic, but every time I think of the clown, I just think of Scary Movie 2.
Yeah. That was not for kids.
So I'm glad to see like they didn't try to do exactly what they did in the original, like have the clown take him under the bed, because then I just thought the kid was fucking it, just like in Scary Movie 2.
I hear you, man. I remember that scene. Oh man, when the clown, right, we'll stay with it. That's it's a hell of a scene.
So good on the remake. Creepy clowns,
the clown,
creepy.
Great update. Tree, you got it. Clown, you got it. Job, we'll work on that.
All right, so the next one I want to talk about is kind of one of the teammates of the scientists. Is like in the original, we have the scientist who's eating the food, and all of a sudden the steak starts moving. So that's talk about good practical effects.
Yeah.
How did they get that steak to move? That was awesome.
That was pretty
I'm
cool.
like looking for like an opening in the table, just trying to see if okay, so there's like a track that the steak's on. Like, how are they making the steak move like a worm, man? That's an effect.
That was pretty cool.
That's still really good today. And then just the maggots on the chicken was just like, oh man, I'm happy I don't eat meat, because that's so freaking gross, man. So those were great. But then there's the scene right after that. He goes into the bathroom and then he just starts ripping his face off. That was one of the worst effects. That didn't age as well.
Because I was like, all right, I get what they're doing. They're doing, the old practical. We're gonna.
Yeah.
No, it's bad. It was.
Yeah, because you could clearly tell when it's the actor, and then clearly tell when it's just like a wax.
So obvious.
Yeah. So that didn't age well, and it was weird scene in general.
Yeah.
Ripping off your own face.
Especially after seeing RoboCop, for instance, with really good practical effects like that. That was a little rough, and you're right. Didn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to mess with the team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's the same thing happening in the remake. This one I thought was pretty good too. Yeah. So the guy has to put in this heat or detector, or just a thermostat, I guess. I don't know, but he puts it in the wall, and he puts a hole in the wall, and then everything gets sucked into the wall. He's like, shit. So what does he do? Let me just reach into the wall blindly.
Yeah.
This will end well. And then obviously he thinks he's got it, and then he gets pulled and he can't get his arm out, and then all of a sudden that drill that he lost just starts coming through the wall, and that was just okay, this is pretty good. This is a lot better than ripping your face off.
It was a lot better, and I had no idea what was going to happen, because you see the drill. It's getting closer.
Yeah.
It's getting closer to his face.
And then he was screaming louder and louder every time the drill got closer. So I was really oh man, how is this going to end?
And it was cool, because the face ripping scene was I'm ripping my face, now it's just my face.
Yeah.
You think that all this happened, and then there's no hole in the closet after.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Again, that was another improvement in terms of effect.
Yeah, because they didn't do exactly what they did in the original, which I'm glad, and then they did something else, which was pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
I would not want to be in that situation with random drill coming through the wall closer and closer to my face.
Yeah, I'll say that based off of kind of what we're talking about, these poltergeists, they definitely seemed overall more dangerous in the remake. Stuff like that. There was moving stakes and face peeling and stuff like that, but holding your arm in a wall while a drill is getting closer and closer to your face. These poltergeists are messed up in the remake. Real messed up.
So that was really good in the remake. I don't know if there was any other phenomenon in the movies. I just want to maybe compare the closets a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'll start with the original. Again, going back to practical effects, you know, it's cool like to see like all the stuff gets sucked into the closet. Like I thought that was a cool effect. Yeah. But then later at the end of the movie when it's like alive and then it's like a living organism and then it's kind of creepy. And then you see like the tentacles coming out. It's kind of like a Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi. It is. It actually came out before Return of the Jedi, so maybe maybe. But yeah, I thought it was. I liked it better before it became like a living thing.
I thought so too. I thought that that kind of like that bluish whipsaw like lightning effect. I thought that was cool. Like you said, when things were getting sucked in. Yeah, towards the end, that did resonate with me either. Just like this sort of like pulsing organ type deal. At that point I was kind of like checked out because so much had already happened since then. Yeah. That at that point it felt a little like overkill. Yeah, it's like we don't need this. We get it. Right. The house is a little fucked up. Yeah. We don't need to see how all this shit happened. Would have been. Now I'm rewriting the original. It would have been cool. Like maybe like just like the door frame like just manipulated its shape, but like it didn't change into like a living organism. Yeah. Just to see like the house like it can manipulate itself like at its own will. Like I thought that would have been better than because it just didn't age well. No, it didn't. It didn't age well and. It, you know, because we had seen so much of the closet before, it wasn't like consistent either. Yeah. Like that. Yeah, just this like big hole into like the stomach of the house. It was alright. Yeah. In the remake, I think this is one few times where like the CGI I think was actually helpful with the closet. Like the fact that you could do a lot more with that space. Yeah. It just kind of made it this like almost infinite space. Yeah, I thought that was actually interesting. Yeah, let's just do that. I'm glad they didn't make it like a living monster type thing, and they just made it pretty much black space. Yeah, that you know your imagination, let your imagination fill in the gaps, and that's usually pretty effective. Yeah, and it was cool how it like developed. It kind of started just like in the dark void, and it became more and more space-like, and that was one of the few times where I was like, okay. I think this was a smart choice. I think this is an interesting visual. Mm-hmm. I thought that worked really well compared to a Sarlacc pit. Yeah. So the only other thing, well, never mind. All right, so we also have our bones. We got a lot of bones in both of these movies. Yeah. So apparently there are real skeletons. Really? In the original film. Why? That's what I've heard, and then they didn't tell Jo Beth Williams till after she filmed her scenes. That's what I heard. I didn't actually research that, so I don't know if it's true or not. But yeah, so we got real bones, you know, coming out of the swimming pool and coming out of coffins, and I thought that. You know, like the first couple times, like, all right, cool. You know, like little coffins and these bones. It started getting absurd. Yeah. Like after like the sixth time, I'm like, there's a coffin there too. But like it was a cool effect at first. I think they ended up overusing. Still, I think that certainly should be in the film because I really did. It kind of tied everything together. It's like, yeah, they buried. Yeah. They moved the headstones, but not the bodies. Right. Here you are seeing it, but after a while, like I think it was an overused sort of, I guess, prop. I can see that. Yeah. I thought it wasn't too bad. It definitely, maybe a little overused. Maybe like one or two too many. You know, nothing crazy, but I was like, all right, one more, really. Yeah. But it's still like the effect of like. I guess these coffins just coming out through the ground. I thought like that still just like looked really well. It did. It was definitely believable. But then like, you know, the coffins coming up is cool. I think maybe they should have just kept it as coffins because like when it opened up and you saw the bones, it just looked cheesy to see the bones. Yeah. So while I love the coffin rising, opening up and having the skeletons go, it still looks so cheesy. Yeah. But I get it. Yeah. You gotta do that. And I'm sure it was scary in the 80s. No, right? For sure. I guess that's probably what I'm getting at is I think like, okay, yes, here it is, but then like the extra I'm like, okay, we got another one of these. And we don't have that moment at all in the remake. Instead we get to see the other side. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what it is,
it's all bones. It's all bones. Them bones, our house. That's what the house is made of. It's made of bones.
Made of bones.
So, oh my god, that dog. Yeah. So, again, CG. I get it. You can't make a bone house.
No, you can't.
And
you can't.
It's gonna look bad no matter what, I think. So, I was okay with it. The bone house.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it, but yeah, it's CG bone house. That's how you're gonna feel about it.
Sounds like a recording artist. CG bone house. A bluesman. Yeah, I mean, it was fine.
Yeah, exactly. It was fine. I didn't really think it was scary. And they kept it very dark, so you couldn't see it. I think that's better. Yeah, the less I see, the less I can judge and see how cheesy it looks. But I don't know. I like the practical effects a little better.
Yeah,
we said it's also cheesy as well, but like just the effect of the coffins rising through the ground.
Yeah.
I thought that's really effective.
Like I said, I think it was most effective in the pool, right? As these things coming up through the pool, I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy." As it got on, less effective, but overall still really good effect. And I prefer that to CGI house. But like I said, me saying it's overused, that's really my opinion. Maybe someone else is like, no, they used just enough. It was a good effect in the original.
Yeah. CG Bonehouse. CG Bonehouse just, like you say, it's fine. It works for the story, but it just, I get it. CG Bonehouse. I'm not going to get scared of CG Bonehouse.
Right.
Could I say CG Bonehouse more house?
This is great.
Hashtag CG Bonehouse.
More house, more bone.
All right, and then the last thing I want to talk about with the Poltergeist is just how we lose the houses, and that's house imploding to a portal versus house exploding, pretty much. I mean, you can't beat imploding house.
I was going to say imploding is obviously the better choice.
It's so cool. Yeah. I'm still like, how did they do that?
Yeah. Oh, so cool.
That's a really cool effect because
really
there's no CG house there.
Yeah.
That's all practical.
And to have sort of our villain in that sequence, so like he's in front of it, so like it's not. I mean, it might be a model, but like if it looks super real because you put a guy there.
There you go. Yeah.
And I think it fits this narrative more, right? Like this sort of going back into this dimension or whatever this is. It's better narratively as well to have the house implode. And like I said, it was a cool effect. Exploding house, I mean, anyone can blow up a house.
Yeah, houses explode all the time in movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, how many times have you seen a house implode into a portal?
Correct.
Not too often. But I get it. Like, again, it's like, we can't do the same thing. But just to make it explode, seems like, well, let's just do the opposite, which has been done before. Right. It does seem a little lazy. You could have done something.
I mean, you could, this is goofy as hell. You could levitate it, spin it, throw it in a portal. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's hard to beat implosion. I think, I know you're not trying to do the same thing, but this might be one of those times where, like, do the same thing, maybe, like, ramp it up a little bit for the modern audience.
Yeah, like, because maybe, like, how it was, like, a slow kind of sucking itself in. Maybe just, like, have it, like, be more jarring, like...
Yeah.
Yes, that's my effects. That's
what implosion sounds like, kids.
That's my idea for the implosion. So, just throwing that out there. Yeah, so, house imploding.
Yeah, I mean, the implosion, like, the little spirit release. I mean, it's better.
It's cool.
It's better.
All right. Are there any other like Poltergeist things, or just like effects in general, you want to talk about with any film? Okay. Actually, before we go over the endings, there's something that happens before like each respective ending that I think we should talk about, and that's who saves the young daughter. So in the original film, it's the mom that has to go back to save Carol Ann. In the remake, it's Griffin who goes back to save Maddie. So we talked about this already. They did a lot to establish the relationship between the mother and daughter in that original film. What do you think about the choice to put in Griffin?
So the mother, I mean, based off everything we saw in the original film, makes a lot of sense, right? Super connected. It's reinforced throughout the film. Griffin, they're saying what his motivation is. They're saying why he feels like again, this I think that this Poltergeist scenario has nothing to do with this kid, right? Like, he's warning everybody. He's giving them ample opportunity to do something about this. And he blames himself because he should have been there when she got taken. Like, he keeps saying that. It's like,
But he was in the tree. How would you do that?
I should never have left. It's like, well, what was your choice, you know? Yeah. So, right. That's a great point, actually. But because he has this, like, flimsy sort of motivation, like this idea of, like, I feel bad because I left my sister. And it's like, no, you've been getting terrorized by Poltergeist for the entire film. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why he felt the need to be the one to go in there. It didn't feel... It wasn't... I think what they were going for, it definitely didn't land. Mm-hmm. And you actually are taken away from things like in the original. There's a debate between Craig T. Nelson and the mom about who's going in. Mm-hmm. And, there's an opportunity for Craig T. Nelson to be simultaneously heroic. It's like, no, you're strong enough to hold the rope. So, like, and he's fighting with Zelda Rubinstein, something we talked about a little bit throughout. They're like, don't walk into the light. Like, other characters are getting play here. Mm-hmm. This kid just, like, runs upstairs. Like, there's no debate. There's no dialogue. No one else has the opportunity to do this. He just runs upstairs, and it's not the same.
It's not the same. And, again... It kind of comes out of nowhere because they really did a good job of establishing the relationship between Carol Ann and her mother.
That's fair.
I know they've put more focus on Maddie and Griffin, but like I never really got that. Like, I'm the protective big brother. Like, I gotta make sure you're safe. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna always make sure nothing bad happens to you. Like, if they built that relationship a little bit stronger, like if maybe he like saved her because like something was falling and it would have hurt her, and he just like, I'm always going to be here to protect you. I mean, something small like that. Or establish that relationship early, that he's a protective brother. He's always going to look out for her, and he wasn't there this one moment, so he felt like it was his responsibility because I made a promise to her and I let her down. Like, you could have easily just built that relationship and made it a lot stronger. It really just felt shoehorned in the way they did it because I wasn't expecting him to do it. Like, it scared Griffin. It was just going to be annoying and scared the whole time, and to have this sudden turn just felt a little forced.
Yeah, and it wasn't like, sure, it's a brave thing, but I don't think it didn't feel like a turn to me, right? It didn't feel like, now he's brave. It's just like, that was like an irrational thing to do. It was heroic in some sense, but it was also pretty foolish. Like, there were probably other people that could have handled that responsibility better. Jared Harrison comes to mind. Yeah, I just think that it's strange because, like you're saying, had they established that type of character, but they didn't. They made a character who was afraid of everything. So he didn't get a chance to be like this, big brother protector thing until this one moment in the film. Like, it just, I didn't get it.
Yeah. Plus, I had this trouble too. Like, so Griffin runs upstairs. Mm-hmm. The parents both run upstairs. They see him go in. None of them go after him?
No.
They did it well in the original. Like, you have to stay down here because we need someone to hold the rope.
Right.
None of them were told, you can't go in because we're going to need you to hold the rope.
Yeah, right.
They could have easily just went in. If they were a parent that really gave a shit about their kid, they would have just ran in without thinking.
At this point, there is a third kid. But both your kids are in this portal. Wait, what, you're going to be the guy? There's a moment there, you're gonna be at the bar, like, and I could have, walked in there, but it was kind of scary,
And we have one more kid anyway. She's almost out of college.
I don't have to worry about more college debt. So, it made them seem like, I don't know, cowardly. Maybe I don't know. Just like, why didn't they run after it? Like, do they give a shit about these kids? Maybe not, based off of everything we've seen.
Because they just yell at them the whole time, and when one of them goes away, they're like, I'm fine with that. I am fine with this decision. I will stay behind.
Because, they, in this scenario, like we mentioned, Craig Nelson looked like more disheveled as time went on. Everyone looked kind of,
Yeah. They've been sleeping all right.
We slept okay.
It's been quieter without Maddie.
Someone turn that TV on. I don't know. It was an interesting choice, but I think the wrong choice.
And then, like we said, you got to see the Bone House CG bone house. You know, Griffin walking through it, and you know, I get it. Let's make this creepy house, but there's really nothing bad happened, I guess.
No.
Is what you could say. Like, all this scary stuff happening around him, like, even like, they're not gonna let me leave. Well, they did let you leave.
Right.
Like, right after you said they want to let you leave, they just let you leave. So
you didn't even have the rope at that point, you know? They were like,
they were just like running towards the rope. Yeah, so it's like it's just like it felt like they were trying to raise the stakes, even like there was no stakes at all.
There were zero stakes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. These kids are stuck in this like nether realm. I don't know. These were not the characters to explore this with. Like, you know, the original daughter is just a naive young child. The mom going in, it's a maternal thing. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The brother just gunning it upstairs for the first time in his life. He's going to be like super brave. I mean, it's like, all right, it's commendable, but it's a poor choice. Like, anyone else could have handled that better. Like, the skeptical doctor's assistant was a better choice than him. I think they were trying to pull at heartstrings and it didn't work.
Yep. All right, so let's just go into the endings then. I'll just briefly talk about them, and then we can do a comparison.
Sure.
Should we do them back to back, or talk about the original ending and then dissect it? How do you want to do it?
Let's do them back to back and then dissect them.
All right. So the original, I'm gonna pick it up for after the house is cleaned.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of where the movies really start to get different. So after the house is clean in the original, the family is seen packing, and the dad goes to quit his job one last night. Everyone is terrified by the poltergeist. Pretty much the mom and the two young kids, because the oldest daughter, again, just, I'm going out.
See you.
We get a cool scene with the mom being flipped around the room in her underwear, okay?
Super necessary.
That's where Robbie versus the clown comes in. Doesn't come in until after we get Carol Ann back. And then Carol Ann is pretty much just getting sucked into the closet. This is also when the mom is outside, and then she's in the swimming pool, and she's all the skeletons and coffins start to rise, and she just can't get out of the pool. A neighbor eventually helps her, but then doesn't want to help go inside the house. He's like, I helped you out of the pool, but I'm not going in that house, you fucking nuts. So she's able to go back in the house, and then she sees Carol Ann and Robbie getting sucked into the closet. Now it's the living, breathing closet.
Yeah.
So she like, grab my hand. She grabs one of the kids' hands, and
grab your sister's
hand.
hand.
And grabs the other hand, and is able to do this like clothesline to get all of them out, and they're trying to escape the house. As it's happening, Craig T. Nelson arrives home, and he sees like, what the hell's going on in my house? And then I guess at that point he sees a coffin rise, and that's when he says that line, "You moved the headstones, but not the bodies, you son of a bitch."
Yeah. So at that point, James Karen plays a character named Mr. T, and we'll talk about him more. But like, yeah, that's who he's talking to in that moment.
So that happens. The mom and kids are still trying to get out of the house, but there's more coffins rising. Go back. Dad's still yelling at the guy, probably. You son of a bitch. And then we don't actually see the mom and kids get out of the house. They're just outside the house suddenly. And
get in the car.
Yeah, they get in the car. That's when the other daughter comes home. He's like, Daddy, what is happening? Everybody's just screaming, get in the fucking car.
I love Robbie's just like, just leave.
Yeah, screw her. She's always out anyway.
She's a part of the family.
So they all leave in the car, and then the house starts to implode. Like you said, the other guy is just watching in horror as the house does this.
Yeah.
I love the sound effects too when the house starts to crush itself. And then the house is gone, and then cut to we're all going into a motel room. Just everybody's exhausted. Nobody's talking. We're just like, open the motel room, go inside the room, wheel out the TV. Do not want the TV.
That worked so well. That's such a good beat, you know.
Yeah.
Again, because this movie plays with tone so much, it's like after all that, they're like, no more TV.
Yeah. So to end on like that comedic beat, and,
yeah,
just brings it back full circle because we started with the TV,
yep,
and now we're ending with the TV. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like I said, that's static TV because. Well, this is a thing that happens to everybody every day. So, people are going to go home and look at their TV and be like, well...
Oh, yeah. I mean, you might have been watching on TV. You might take your TV and, like, you watch a movie that you probably enjoyed and you threw your TV out. You're like, screw this. I don't want to... Poltergeist. Oh, man. And then, it is so common. Hence, we're in a motel where there's a TV, Like, they made this about, ultimately, like, you could see yourself being in this scenario, even though it makes no sense to anyone being in this scenario. Yeah.
No, maybe we should dissect the...
Yeah, we could dissect it, actually.
So, we kind of... We went through all that stuff to get Carolyn back. Yeah. And then, she says, the house is clean. So, like, how long did they stay in the house? Because it felt like... another week or so.
Yeah, because they made it seem like we're never going back in there, and they immediately go back in there.
Yeah, they go back in there, and then they take their time leaving, and so I had a problem with that.
Yeah,
No, for sure.
I was also confused by the timeline, because he was like, were you there another week, or were you like, I just got to get some from the office? Yeah. It seemed like a long time, and at that point, if you're already staying in a motel, why are you still...
Well, I don't think they were staying in the motel yet.
Yeah, but
I think they were going to stay in the motel. They were just... I mean, they had movers, right?
Yeah.
So they, at least a couple of days, you can't just get movers right away.
That's true. But like...
No, but I'm saying like...
Oh, after, like... Yeah.
After everything happened, like, because they need movers, so they're obviously still staying at the house. It's like I get, like, you don't want to maybe just leave your shit there, but, like, maybe stay somewhere else.
I don't know. After that, yeah, I don't know. But you're right. Like, yeah, maybe you do move somewhere else. I don't know. That was a little tricky because, like, I don't think rational, reasonable people would experience that and then just like, we're gonna stay here a little bit.
We're gonna stay here a little bit longer until we move everything.
I gotta work out this mortgage. I mean, even if like he stayed in the house and like removes, there's some way to remove your family, but whatever. I think that's, yes, the timeline is kind of fishy, but it's also a bit of nitpicking,
Yeah, but like it just didn't work for me. And then like to have the kids stay in the exact same room that everything was happening, it's like, what are we doing here? I know she said the house is clean, but like I don't care, man. Yeah. You can tell me it's super fucking spectacular, and I'm gonna maybe win money if I stay there one more night. I will not go in that house one more second.
Yeah. I love how triumphantly Zelda Rubinstein says it. She takes the glasses off, the hair is out. She's like, "This house is clean." I'm sitting there as the horror movie viewer, and I'm like, "What are you doing? Get out of the house!" So but they get to take you on one more ride. It feels a bit shoehorned in. To your point, it's like, why is this timeline still going on?
Like I feel like we went through our climax already.
Right.
I feel like we're just, let's do it one more time. You want an encore? Damn. Here we go.
Yeah, it seemed a bit unnecessary to me as well. It's just like, it just comes out of nowhere. We do it again, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, now that's enough." Like, it was enough the first time.
It was.
It was enough the first time. But yeah, I think as kind of like unnecessary as this like sort of like starting this up again, like to get that note at the end, which you could have got either way, really. But like to get that note at the end, it did feel more. It felt good. After seeing more of those events, so I don't know if it pays off to start your climax over, but I also thought it was very good to have, like I said, the Mr. T character. There, I've said the word villain, but like, yeah, he's kind of a villain. Like he
moved the stones, but not the bodies.
he's a corner cutter. So like, though ultimately nothing really happens to him, he kind of gets knocked over by like. Excess spirit, but like, this is your fault, right? So like, regardless of how that ends for him, it's like we have assigned blamed and we moved on. I thought that it was actually useful going back to the job and everything tying back together. It was useful to have that character because like, it gave you a rationale for why you've seen the things that you've seen. You know, and it was corporate greed, kids.
It's always about the money.
Yeah, always
saving a few pennies here and there by not moving the bodies.
Hey, and no one's gonna know the difference because you know, who's got time to exhume everybody? I gotta get these luxury. They're not even condos, but I gotta put these houses down, man. Gotta sell. I thought it was funny that in the remake, the neighborhood shitty, like the house is built and like when they were at that dinner party.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, you know, but I could have moved it to the better neighborhood. It's like,
that's where we live. All right, let's get into the remake's ending. So after the house is clean, they're told by Maddie that it's not clean. She's like, what are you talking about? Oh, it's not clean. They needed me to lead them to the light, and I didn't. And then everyone's like, oh, shit. Yeah. So they're like in the car. They try to get out of the driveway. They can't. They're stopped by some non-visible entity, and then the car is just thrown into the house, like upside down, and then they're just back in there. And of course, like everybody's in the car but Maddie, and then there's Maddie like by the stairs, and she just got sucked upstairs. Closet's trying to get her again. So then, kind of similar to the original film, we got the whole family up there. This time, not just mom, and they all do a clothesline, and then they're able to pull her so she doesn't get taken into the closet. And then they're in another room, and at this point, Jared Harris's character's like, "Oh, it's not gonna let that family go. I better go back in there." And then the other doctor's like, "Oh, don't do it." He's like, "I'll be all right. I'm tired of this reality TV shit, so I'm gonna go up there and really be a hero and stuff like that." Yeah, so while this the family is trying to get out of the window, they are all able to get out except for Sam Rockwell's character. And the window just shuts, so you can't get out. The house is really starting to get destroyed now. He can see Jared Harris about to go in the closet. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm gonna go in the closet." He's like, "Oh, don't go in the closet." "Well, I'm going in the closet." So he goes in the closet. And then the window opens, and Sam Rockwell's able to get out.
You gotta sacrifice. You needed somebody.
So Jared Harris goes in the closet. Sam Rockwell able to get out with his family. The woman's like, "Take my car." And he's like, "I will." So he took her car, and then they get the fuck out of there. And as they're leaving, the house explodes again, and then we see the spirit thing, spirit pillar, I guess, happen, and cops and fire trucks arrive. They're just like, "No, we gotta get the fuck out of here." And then the team is like, "Well, what about Jared Harris? Where's he?" He's like, because everybody has a GPS, and it's like, "I don't see him. He's not on the computer." And then there's like beep on there, like, "But wait!" Cut to now we're, I guess, months later. The family is looking at a new house, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, there's lots of closet space. That's not something we're into." My last closet tried to eat me. That's precious. And he's like, "This is a really old tree over here. It's actually the oldest tree." And then like, she's like, "Where'd everybody go?" The family's like, "Fuck this shit! It's too similar!" So they get the fuck out. So again, movie ends on a comedic beat. Or so you think, because there's a credit scene. You see the credit scene?
I didn't see it.
Oh, there's a credit scene! I tapped that one. There's a credit scene where we see Jared Harris and his ex-wife, and they're filming a segment for the TV show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I guess he made it out. And the two of them are now doing the TV show together.
Because I assume he made it out because they had that GPS blip. And I was like, that's good enough for me. Credit scene, huh?
Yeah, this is a big credit scene. So if you missed it, that's what happens. Just
I missed it.
The two of them just arguing about the format of the show.
They had good chemistry.
Oh, they did have good chemistry.
They had good chemistry. So like, I'm cool with that. I would go back and watch that. Leaving the house that they're looking at, that's funny. It's not as funny as the TV.
Yeah, it's not as funny. But, I guess they wanted to end on a comedic beat. And, rolling out a TV definitely wouldn't work.
No.
But what I like about this ending is, okay, we just got our daughter back. Let's get the fuck out right away.
That to me feels like the right energy.
Yes.
Because, like, for them to, like, stay in the house, I'm going to take a bath.
Yeah.
Why are you so comfortable in this haunted house, you know? But, yeah, no, I think that made more sense. I don't really understand the Jared Harris sacrifice. Like, I'm okay with it, but it's just like,
well,
what's it now?
He's a medium, so maybe he was able to communicate with the spirits when he was in their dimension. It's not meant to be understood. The medium, the professional's going to take care of it.
That's fair.
That's all you need to know.
And, you know, I guess everyone gets closure, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
You know, we know that these spirits get to now rest not under this 3-bedroom, 2-bath in the shitty part of town.
So I just like the remake, just making it like, let's get out of here right away, as opposed to
I agree.
I really had a problem with that in the original.
Yeah, it's streamlined, because I'm right there with you, because the original I was like, wait, what again? Like, it felt like you know, I said that a bit about the remake. Well, I said about the effects, but like a bit of overkill. Just you know, a movie that's doing so much already, it's like, yeah, I think you guys got it. You know, I don't know if you had to do that again. So yeah, I do like the remake, just getting out of there. Like, of course you would.
Yeah, especially because, like, yeah, you brought up a good point in the original. Like, yeah, we got a lot of downtime. We're just relaxing. We're taking a bath, you know?
I'm going to swing by the office. I'll see you kids later.
There's just so much downtime. That sense of urgency that we had, like, just a few minutes ago is completely gone. Yep. And then just to ramp it back up again, it was just... there's no balance there.
Someone's like, wait, we didn't have anybody in their underwear. Oh, we didn't? Oh, shit.
What about all this other shit? We forgot about the clown. Oh, the fucking clown! We'll do it again. We're going to do it again.
You gotta watch Robbie fight that clown. Yeah. Man. But, you know, effectively, you know, almost the same ending.
Yeah.
More or less. But,
yeah, the family is ultimately able to get away. The house is destroyed.
Mm-hmm. You know, because we've added this Jared Harris character, it's cool that he had an arc. It's like, I can't really complain about how much screen time he's getting, because he is the most fun person in the movie. He is. So, like, I'm glad there's a mid-credit scene with him. It's like, all right, like, is it necessary? Absolutely not. But we already did it, so yeah, just embrace it. Cool.
All right, I think that's about everything.
Yeah. So this is the part where we...
This is the part, yeah. All right, so I'll leave it to you, Reggie. Verdict time. Reggie, should this remake of Poltergeist exist?
Oh, the remake of Poltergeist shouldn't exist. This is a really easy one, guys. I didn't have to think about it very hard. I do feel bad that I don't... Like, in that world where this remake doesn't exist, I don't get to see Jared Harris be kind of cool for like 20 minutes in the movie. But I do get to miss some kind of nonsensical changes that, like, just undermine the movie from the start. I mean, the original cardinal sin here is Sam Rockwell and his wife. Whatever. Sorry.
Amy Bowen, Rosemary DeWitt.
Yeah. Sam Rockwell and Rosemary DeWitt don't have jobs, and that's a central theme for about half of the movie. Too much to think about, you know? Like, I don't know, you know, is it the 08 crisis? Like, I don't want to think about their lack of finances. I want to think about Poltergeist. The original movie is able to, like, play... I don't know if it's just because it's the 80s movie or, like, stylistically, it feels humorous and funny at times before it gets dark, and, like, it feels like it's got its own style and its own... There's something about the film, right? Like, they made choices that made that film unique. This remake is a generic horror film with the Poltergeist title. And it goes through the same beats, more or less, with some additions, but it's just so flat. The no job thing is unnecessary. They don't do anything really better than the previous film. And yeah, because Craig Nelson is so fun in the original movie, because Zelda Rubinstein has this, like, landmark character. What are you guys doing? Like, what are you know, Jared Harris is not enough to say that this movie should exist. So yeah, no, Poltergeist 2015. and not just go watch Poltergeist. Why would you watch this? I like everybody in it too. I like Jane Addams. I like Sam Rockwell. Yeah. I like them all, but there's not much for them to do. So yeah, not a great film. Shouldn't exist.
What I like about the original Poltergeist is how they really made it feel like it could happen to pretty much anybody. Right. Like I keep saying it, that static on the TV, that was such a smart decision to say, like, this is the way you can communicate with the other side, just having this thing that occurs in everybody's everyday life. And then going back to what you said, like how like the first half hour almost doesn't feel like a horror movie. It can be like anything. I think that plays to the strength of that movie, because this extraordinary thing could happen to like everyday people. Like this extraordinary thing can happen to this almost normal movie. Like all of a sudden we're just taking these characters in this normal movie and putting them in this extreme situation. So that really worked, and they weren't even really able to capture that in the remake. You know, it's we don't have static TVs anymore, right? So, and they weren't able to really make anything that, you know, everyday or mundane. They weren't able to make it scary or threatening, and they just didn't add enough or really do anything to. Oh shit, we forgot to say that's the mom who saved the kid versus the boy who saved the kid. We'll get back to that after this. They just didn't like change anything enough, or like really put in like its own style on it, or like really like elevate it. And you know, the best way I could describe the movie was like fine. Like everybody's fine. Like I like the cast, everybody was fine in their role, but like nothing to really like elevate. Like Poltergeist is like a staple in like the horror genre for haunted houses for sure. Yeah. Right? And to like have that source material and to like just be fine with it, I just feel like it's not acceptable. You're taking like something that was like, it's like A+ tier, and then you're just putting like C+ effort. I could watch it, but like look what we had to play with. Right. We didn't even come close. So like I was a little more apprehensive about this one. I was like, I don't know, maybe, you know, it's good enough, but like when you compare it to the original, especially, it's really not good enough. So for me too, I don't think this remake should exist.
It's too.
It's so mundane.
Yeah, it's just too. It's too like like you're saying. Is it a fine movie? Sure, it's a fine movie. If it wasn't a Poltergeist movie, maybe I'd just watch it and as is. I would probably think I would still have problems with like the job thing, because like, well, I don't get why we're concerned with that. But like, compared to the original Poltergeist, it's like we're not even in the same realm.
Yeah. I just wish they had incorporated like, you know, some modern technology and like to put like this twist on that. Like they were able to take the technology of the time, the TVs, and to put like this spooky specter thing in it, and like just figure out a way to do that with like modern technology we have today. And there's such a way like we're talking about the Chucky. Just using the smart devices and turning them against everybody. That's a simple way of doing it. And this movie came out way before Chucky, so they could have beaten it to the punch, but they didn't really use any of the smart technology.
They just I think they played it too close to the original without taking the swings where they needed to, and the choices that they did make were consequential. So so it's an okay movie. I don't think like you'll hate it, but it's so boring. I fell asleep watching it. I'm not gonna lie, alright? I fell asleep watching this movie. It took me 2 days to get through it. That's fair. It was so boring. It's the type of movie you could just have on in the background. And, you know, again, not to. There are performances in it. Yeah. But you know, it's not enough. There's just not enough in the film itself. Yeah, I like Sam Rockwell a lot. I like Jared Harris, but there's just not much for them to do. Yeah, unfortunately. So. All right. Cool. Well, that was our verdict. Do you agree with us? Do you guys disagree with us? Let us know in the comments. So, at this point, I guess we got to figure out what we're going to do next. Yeah. You got something for us? I think so. Oh, yeah? Yeah. So, we've been kind of jumping around genres, and horror is one that we don't do too often. We did some more comedic stuff recently. Why don't we stay in like a very specific mode and try another Western? Okay. And I'm thinking The Magnificent Seven. Ooh. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right.
Magnificent Seven it is.
Cool.
So be sure to watch Magnificent Seven for the next episode. Alright, that pretty much does it for this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us comments. We love responding to those. If you're listening on iTunes, be sure to give us 5 stars and a nice review to help us boost awareness of the podcast.
Yeah. And with that, I'm Reggie Parker.
Oh, I thought you were going to plug the
sorry,
socials.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Yeah, so, check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Retro vs. Remake. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes. You're probably watching this on YouTube. So yeah, check us out. Rate, review, 5 stars, all that fun stuff. All the support, we really appreciate it.
With that.
And with that, I'm Reggie Parker.
And I'm Dan Bulick. This has been another episode of Retro vs. Remake.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Spooky.
Spooky.
CG Bonehouse.
The bones are the house. So are the worms.